different in Discord. I'm sorry. So the right game number 1 here. We're gonna introduce him again with the right draft and get this underway. Arsenic on Gadget. No, I'm doing EU. I'm doing EU, Nate. Blood Mortius on Grux, Rustress on Muriel, Undead Pilot on Murdoch, Shadon on Rampage, Yoa Mikey on Howitzer, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Carbon.
And for Oxygen, we have Arsenic on the Gadget, Imsco on the Sparrow, Meds on the Sevrog, Marty Rivia on the Decker, and Ram Riddles on the Bellica.
All right, guys. So now we can talk about the draft. At least you know the next game. There's going to be a countess and stuff. So a little bit of sneak peek into the very next game here. Yoa Mikey on the Howitzer. He's been this entire weekend, man. He has been the play on Howitzer here is some of the best I've seen. Even kind of even more better than what we used to like Solo Nazgul for on his Howitzer, even before on Legacy. I think he's definitely one of the most impressive performances I've seen individually on a Howitzer play is Yoa Mikey thus far in this weekend. So I expect to see him get the most out of his kit that you can get, the best utilization you can, and sort of that what I like to call the semi-carry role of your mid lane Howitzer. And it is going to be Oxygen putting Marty and Imsco into the mid, and that's going to allow Ram Riddles to do what Ram Riddles does, and that's just out-farm everyone else.
Yeah, well, with Mike, I mean, if Marty Rivia is known for his deck, I think Mike is definitely known for his Howitzer. So, yeah, that sort of, he's just, to watch him play, yeah, man, I watched a lot of his streams, and it's just, you know, it's just a level I know I'm not going to attain, unfortunately, but
yeah.
It's still so good to watch him.
Now, back in the day, he was Gideon back in the day. But right, that was Yoa Mikey, right? With his face photoshopped onto Gideon. Am I thinking of the right person? I feel like I'm thinking of the right person.
It might. I think it's Mike actually. It could be.
Oh, that's right. It's two different
Mike.
mics. There's so many mics, man. Too many
you can
mics.
be forgiven for that.
That's okay. So there's gonna be the off-lane Muriel, right there. Not gonna be the support Muriel, so that global presence that we know her for, up against Gadget. Muriel's not necessarily the most threatening. Like it's not like Arsenic is going, oh man, I'm up against a Muriel. But at the same time, Muriel's so defensively strong that it's hard to bully her out of the lane. She can negate every single sticky bomb with the well-placed shield. She actually can do some decent harassment as well. But actually, I like that right there. The moment that Arsenic saw the shield was on cooldown, that's when he used the sticky bomb. So Arsenic's still getting valuable harassment out of that. And Rustress down to a pretty low mana already. So this matchup going Arsenic ways just in the first couple minutes.
Yeah, he's got the sustain for the health rather than the mana. He's got that HP part on that healer token, so you know how it is when a caster runs out of mana and they're left doing that 0.3 scaling.
Oh, buddy, is he gonna hold the boulder? No, is he gonna get away? There's no way. Marty's here. Is Marty able to secure the kill? He stays the spawn. There it is. There, kill secured, but Rambles goes down for himself as well as Blood Mortius gets that smash and grab. 1-for-1 exchange, but taking down that undead pilot. Always goes a really long way early on. Meds landed the subjugate onto Shadon with Imsco landing those autos. Is there a piercing arrow? Not going to be the case. And actually, all the meanwhile, we do see that Decker, Marty was taken out, and Meds gets the kill onto Rampage. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is what the last series. Well, don't get me wrong, was a good series. We want to see these guys go at each other, and that's exactly what they do. First couple minutes of the game, and even exchange 2 for 2.
Yeah, I think I'd be fair in saying there's probably no love lost between these teams. I think they respect each other. But there's definitely
a deep-seated rivalry between these guys. Absolutely, yeah.
So these guys
go to Twitter and you'll see what we mean. Yeah.
These guys are not going to give each other any sort of, a yard to move in. They're definitely going to be on each other and hounding each other. Maybe over committing sometimes, just looking for those kills, etc. So I think we're definitely going to see some very early aggression from both sides and continue so.
That makes me a happy camper here. Ram Riddles is up against a I would say this is a pretty threatening lane. I won't be surprised if even Ram Riddles, his farm is negated somewhat decently just because it's a Bellica who lacks mobility. I mean, she can get peel with her seismic assault, but she doesn't have that tried and true getaway like a Thing Meow or a Howitzer or something like that. So I'd imagine Ram Riddles is going to be playing mostly defensively, but the moment that Shadon rotates away, and Shadon is a very rotate-oriented support, there's been times where we saw him sit there with a boulder in mid lane behind a shadow wall for like a minute at a time. But the moment that happens and Ram Riddles recognizes that, I'd imagine he'll get really aggressive on the Undead Pilot and try to get some harassment and try to continue to get that farm.
Yeah, I think in both these supports, in both Marty and Shodan, they like to roam. They're not these, they don't sit on the hip of their ADC by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
They definitely want to be involved. And they pick the heroes that allow them to do that in the Rampage. You don't need that many CXP. You just need the levels to have the abilities, basically. And the same with Deca.
A little harassment over to Marty, but that's just Mikey doing Mikey things. The river buffs not being very highly contended here. Both green buffs are alive on both sides of the field, so I feel like there's some odd counter synergy going on here between the teams, where both teams are afraid to take their green buff because they know that both these teams invade so often. Undead Pilot, the reversal fortune is forced out here from Rustress, but he is able to get up a kill. If he's able to get away cleanly, that'll be a great exchange for them. Negating Ram Riddles, I feel like, is a very good way to put Oxygen on the back foot. Ram Riddles is a breakout player. He always puts out breakout performances, and I think if you're able to negate his ability to be impactful in these games and take away his being such a strong individual player, that already you are setting up a game plan for victory.
I mean, yeah, if you can isolate, it is a good game plan if you can isolate the player that usually is ahead on everyone on the farm.
Right.
But, Oxygen still have 4 other very good players. So if you're trying to isolate him too much and you let the other players run loose and, allow them to farm, you're just going to get punished just as much. So I think you've got to isolate the heroes you fear more than the actual players themselves.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah, Bellica going down isn't like the biggest deal in the world. It's like, it's all right. I'm Bellica. I'm still going to get farm. I'm in a soul lane. I'm getting my levels. If that was maybe necessarily a carry, that would be a little bit more important. That's going to be difficult to do, though, with Imsco always having support, either Meds rotating over on the Sevarog or Marty being close in the area to help provide support. As we do see the green buff finally picked up right there. Still, the Carbon EU is just letting their green buff sit right there. And, okay, again, before you can even think about it, Blood Mortius rotates over and yet again gets a kill onto Ram Riddles here. So I think Carbon's doing a really good job at recognizing that Bellica is a very immobile hero, and that can be exploited, and they've done a good job at executing that exploitation.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, it takes out Rust just there. The other thing is it's allowing Undead Pilot to be, untouched, basically, while he's farming, get his lane down and allow him to get off farm. So they're just trying to focus getting the ADC ahead and just harassing him down. They might probably try and stifle Imsco as well if they can stifle his growth. But while they're doing that, Arsenic's getting fed. So, you take away one arm, another one pops up and is able to do it.
That'd be a cool hero. Wouldn't that be a cool hero? Like, the more he takes
like
damage.
Goro?
The more he takes damage, the more damage he does, sort of thing. He just constantly reach-ins, things like that. That'd be a pretty cool hero. But we'll see, man. Hashtag every 3 weeks, guys. I don't know about you. I'm super excited about the next hero, man. I am ready to K-pop my way to victory. I don't know about you.
I'm very interested in the abilities, but that hero portrait.
It's so good, man. Come on. It's so good. It fits the theme of the hero. She's a K-pop star in the world of Ogora. We're finally getting lore, at least, man. Everyone wants lore, and we're finally getting some lore. I just don't think it's coming in the same way that people were necessarily expecting here. 9 minutes into the game, there's been a couple kills here and there. There was some early game aggression, but now both of these teams are now feeling comfortable. Just let's farm it up and look for certain timings. Raptors have yet to be touched. No surprise to anyone here. We always talk about how the ability of a team to clear out the Raptors, almost always the advantage goes over to Sparrow because she has that AoE cleave. Of course, Grux is really good at it as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if, due to the fact that they're on the Dawn side, we do see a little bit more early rotations over to those Raptors than we otherwise would see. We'll have to see how the pace of the game up until that point, but don't be surprised if that does occur.
Yeah, it's something that when we first saw Monolith, we were worried about the asymmetrical, the asymmetry of the map with the Raptors and the OP, and they're kind of a balancing act where one gives your team a whole layer an advantage for a shorter period of time, where the other one gives whoever you choose to get it or whoever can get it an advantage in the long game. So I think it is quite well balanced out.
Tier 1 tower in the off lane to fall right there. Ram Riddles, I think, quickly realizing he has to play a little bit more defensively, being that 0-3-1, and has done a good job of avoiding the gank. Still lost the tower, but that tower in that position, that's pretty much par for the course. Around that 10-minute mark in a situation where you have the support carry in the safe lane, that's when that tower generally falls. But at least Rammerals is starting to stabilize a little bit and starting to respect the gank potential and the lethality that Carbon brings to the table, especially with Blood Mortius on that Grux. And there's always that silver lining of that tower falling, Nate, where it's like, okay, well, now that the wave's going to push into my tier 2, it's too early on for teams to push down this tier 2 without some sort of advantage. So Rammerals is going to be content about that and have a little bit safer time farming to a certain extent.
Yeah, so this is where we see what Carbon wants to do with this. Do they want to try and push him under that tier 2 and, you know, keep on with the strategy of trying to put that stranglehold on Ramriddles? Or do they start to rotate more, get involved a bit more in the team fights and allow Ramriddles to get that farm? I think it's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Right. But obviously, if they don't push him under his tier 2, it's a lot safer. They don't get those gank potentials a lot less from that safe jungle side from Oxygen.
Purple buff being picked up here by Blood Mortius. They have all the wards in the world right there. I'd imagine at one point there was a Shadow Plane buff in that area. Rotating over to potentially pick up Arsenic. Hesitation for Blood Mortius might I mean, he could have gotten that kill right there with help of Muriel. Not going to be the case, though, as he's decided to go inside of the jungle. Maybe looking for some wards. Has found where Meds is, but he's by himself. So I think the kill potential of this this purple buff more than likely is going to go to waste. He sees Imsco on the Sparrow. But A, there's a ward, and B, Marty is very close to each other. So he is going to initiate onto Imsco here, and then he's going to smash and grab Rivia and just be like, all right, I'm out. I showed up, and then I did my thing, and I'm out of there. So no success from the purple buff, and these guys are going to continue to just farm away. Undead Pilot is now by himself with that offlane tower falling. I think that's going to enable Shadowon, especially now that he's level 5, to do what he does, and that is rotate around and set up important kills.
Yeah, Rampage, much like Gravestone, is such a different animal when he has his ultimate. You know, it's just very similar in that he's very difficult to kill when they have that ultimate up. Still can be burst down, as we have seen.
Ramriddles is in some trouble here. Pilot and Ramriddles were sort of duking it out for a little bit there. I think Ramriddles did pop out the Neural Disruptor to try to get something going, but at level 1, the Neural Disruptor doesn't do that much damage, especially when it's against a Murdoch who doesn't have that much mana to begin with. So I think it's only 0.3 damage for every point of mana missing, and at level 3, it's 0.9 missing for every mana missing there. And on top of the fact that Murdoch only has 400 mana, it's not the most effective means in the world. So again, Ramriddles I don't think it's Ramriddles playing poorly. I think it's more so Carbon are just doing a good job of exploiting the fact that he's on a immobile hero in a solo lane on the other side of the field.
Yeah, and Oxygen need to react to this because they are going to foreman this tier 2 tower down if they're not careful.
Meds is going to get stunned up. Smash and grab is there as well. The CC chain isn't enough to take down Meds. The bleed is there. It's not going to be enough now. Shadon forced to pop the ultimate, trying to jump away, trying to do what he can, but Imsco comes in there. With that Konik auto attack, is going to be able to clean up Rampage. So they really were determined to get that tier 2 tower there. They almost were able to pick off Meds. They put a lot of resources into it, and now Rustress gets taken out as well. So Team Oxygen finally giving Ramriddles a little bit of support on his side of the field, save the tier 2 tower. But it took them pretty much pushing down a tier 2 tower to rotate over there to give them reason to be like, Ramriddles, you're on your own until they're underneath your tower. But at least they get something out of it, and that's now Ramriddles pushing this out, getting some more farm. Not sure if he'll be able to pick up this tower, but at very minimum, he's going to get a couple of ways to farm completely unfeathered.
Yeah, but while they were doing that, their tier 1 in the middle lane took an awful lot of damage. About a 5th health now, so but obviously a lot more importance put on those tier 2 towers because those jump pads are very important for getting out early. Team rotates straight onto Raptors here.
Yep. See if there's any sort of contention right now. It looks like not going to happen. Just going to be able to pick this up for free. I think it's mostly just Oxygen. What's crazy to me is look at the warding. It's not like Carbon doesn't. There's no way Carbon doesn't know about this. I think Carbon just wasn't in position. You see Howitzer and Muriel both were underneath their tier 2 tower. Blood Mortius was on the other side of the map, inside of the strong side of the jungle. So that was just a great capitalization of Team Oxygen recognizing the position of Carbon and making the very quick call to pick up those Raptors. And just like that, IMSCO gets 3 easy card experience. Let's take a look at the numbers here. We're 15 minutes into this game. Undead Pilot at 20 and IMSCO at 21. So looks like prior to those Raptors, IMSCO was at quite a disadvantage, but now that's been evened up significantly.
Yeah, and this is what Oxygen will do. If you give him that opportunity, especially with a Sparrow who can clear that Raptor cap so quickly, they will take it. You know, this is the thing. If you give him an inch, they'll take a mile sort of thing. Always observant for any advantage they can get.
Now, with the most recent nerf to Murdoch here, this is something we haven't discussed, but I think it's an important thing to talk about here. The strength of the... People are always, in Paragon, we always want to see more individual scaling of heroes, right? We want to see some heroes who are better, who have different... who are of the same class, but peak and have different power spikes at different stages of the game. I think that's very integral to a MOBA and adds strategic depth to the compositions and drafting and so on and so forth going on here. So between Murdoch and Sparrow, do you think both at 60 card points, in a world where everyone's at 60 card points and in an even match, who is the better carry to have in that late game situation? Is Murdoch still such a threat with that global presence of his ultimate, or is Sparrow, now that the way she scales with that increased auto attack, no one can touch in their terms of DPS in a late game situation? What do you think there, Nate?
I think in how the team fights happen and how the sieging of towers happen, I think Sparrow has it, because she can bring so much damage into that area, especially areas like the OP or sieging of a tower or inhib the Raptors. I mean, even at if it's 60, the sieging of an inhibitor, she just brings more to a team fight.
Yeah. Because
you're not looking for that Murdoch ult and when those team fights happen, and you're looking to do maximum amount of damage to maximum amount of people. So I think she takes it. I think she is the #1 ADC right now.
We did see finally, well, not finally, but the Raptors were being taken there by Oxygen. And Carbon recognized what was going on, and even with their presence there, IMSCO still was able to pick up, I believe that was at minimum 1, if not 2 Raptors. IMSCO does have that Blink Charm under his belt now, so he has the means of escape that he'll need to either dodge abilities or get himself out of sticky situations, specifically Smash and Grab or Boulder, coming out of the dynamic duo of Rampage and Grux. Back on Legacy, that was Rampage and Grux were like the steel Rampage of Monolith back in the day. We didn't see it quite as often. A different time, different place. Yo and Mikey going with the 2 melting points, a fairly straightforward build on him. It's just about all the raw damage. Definitely has a lack of sustain. R2000 actually costs 145 mana compared to Make It Rain, which costs 100. So that's the other thing about Howitzer. He's very 100% reliant on his mana. And so when you build him with that pure damage and you don't go any sustain like a Burst Engine or something like that, or Solaris Reactor, if you are out of mana against in that situation, you're pretty much useless. And I think the Bellica here, the more I think about it, is just a really smart pick, because it's going to be a really good job at dealing with the fact that a Howitzer without mana is pretty much a minion at that point.
Yeah, it can be really thirsty, Howitzer. You have to definitely manage your mana consumption as well, especially when you get into these team fights where you're dropping the slow man, you're dropping the landman, you're dropping the R2000s, and you're looking and think, oh, I've seen better players than me die to, I'll just ult out of this. Oh wait, I have no mana.
Yeah, right.
So it's just something. But I mean, obviously, players at this sort of level, it's not something that's going to catch them off guard. They very closely monitor their resources and what they can and can't do.
Guys, well, we have a little bit of a lull in the action here. Don't forget, head over to Twitter, join the conversation, use the hashtag, tag your tweets with the hashtag PCL. You guys have been already heading out there in the droves and joining the conversation, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to give you that immersion that we so want you to have. And again, we're working on new layers of content, so make sure you go over to head to our YouTube as well. You can do !YouTube in the chat and subscribe to our YouTube. But enough talk about that. Meds has caught out Blood Mortius. The Make It Rain and the Containment Fence, more of a Venn diagram, not really lining up in this situation. They're trying to isolate Blood Mortius. They should be able to catch him out. Very important cooldowns are off, though, so they might be able to turn this one around. Yoy Mikey has the high ground here, but it doesn't really matter. Muriel was just taken out. The Seismic Assault is going to land. Ramriddle's looking for the kill. Is he missing enough mana for the ultimate? Doesn't look like Ramriddle's either was going to pick that up. Probably didn't think he had enough damage to take it down, but nonetheless, they still were able to pick up 2 kills here. Mid lane already pushing out. This looks like a very good moment for Team Oxygen to deny the jump pads away from their opponent and continue to take map control on the other side of the field, Nate. we see Arsenic also putting pressure on the other side. So Team Oxygen, just like that, in just a moment's notice, they're taking full control of this match. They're trying to take down this mid inhibitor. Subjugate onto Undead Pilot, Seismic Assault, Stasis Bomb, and goodbye! That was a beautifully executed CC chain right there. All about that subjugate from Meds. Well done. And can they get this inhibitor? They're low. Shadow's trying to do what he can. Yo and Mikey's come back from the grave, but they should be able to pick this up. I think even if all three go down right here, they still are going to be happy about that exchange. Respawn timers this early on are so quick that even if all three die, they'll be able to stabilize by the time Carbon's able to do anything. So a very fortunate series of events for Oxygen right there, Nate.
Yeah, it started off with that fight in the jungle, able to pick up Blood Mordius there very quickly, and carry on that aggression into that mid lane. And even though Ram Riddles didn't get the kill on Yo Mikey, he damaged him so much that he couldn't contest that tower.
Yeah.
And then it was difficult for him to go across and put up a fight against Arsenic in the other lane as well. So very well done there from Team Oxygen.
So that mid lane is going to be perpetually pushing out due to those super minions. I'm a fan of alliterations, guys. All right, get off of me. That's why I like saying Imsco, the Peruvian powerhouse potato punisher, all the time. It's just it's all about that though. But yeah, this game has just been a very slow-paced game. Not necessarily because I think these teams just respect each other so much, Nate, and they're so evenly matched, despite the fact that there may be some latency issues. But, I mean, that's not really a factor because Carbon EU, the EU team, came into PCL and won. And then PCS, Oxygen, the North American team, went to an EU event and won there. So it's like the team who has the worst ping ends up winning in this situation here. We'll see if that trend continues. I don't know. It's like working in the time chamber from Dragon Ball Z is what I compared it to the last time around. But yeah, the amount of respect that these teams have, you can tell simply by their play style. They're not just running into each other headlong. They're both trying to create opportunities and force a mismatch in 1v1 or 2v2 situations. And really the one time that happened resulted in an inhibitor going down. That's how good these guys are. Continuing prioritization of the Raptors from Oxygen. They've done this time and time again, and Carbon still has not really been punishing this whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm saying with the ward coverage, not so much now. But I'm sure they'll know they'll be on that because they had no one in the vicinity to contest it, and obviously then them not showing up in any other lane, they pretty much know where they are. Yeah. They're either at Orb or they're at the Raptors. That, you know, when you can't see someone, that's usually when four or five players are missing, that's where they're going to be essentially.
Right. Let's take a look at the numbers here and see exactly how it's playing out here, Nate. CS pretty even. There's a little bit of a lead going over to Oxygen, but despite the fact, I have to say, despite the fact that Carbon lost their mid inhibitor and lost the biggest engagement of the game thus far, they're still pretty neck and neck when it comes to the numbers here.
Yeah, both these teams are such an economy of movement and economy of time where they use their time well. Never any downtime. They're not just sort of sat in lane doing nothing.
Right.
If they're not in a team fight, they are farming or trying to progress their economy on their characters.
Rustra's taking all the damage in the world. He's just so difficult to take down. Shield is there. Stasis Bomb under the tower. Tesla Dome. That's going to be the kill, but Meds is in some trouble too. The tower doesn't get the last shot off. Young Mikey looks like he's not going to have the R2000 rocket. Oh man, the Bellica. He ulted underneath the Bellica and got taken apart. It's Arsenic Sticky Bomb who's going to get the kill right there. But again, a sudden turn of events for Oxygen up against the Carbon. A Seismic Assault did land on a Blood Mordius as well as a Stasis Bomb. So much CC, man, coming out, and they're chaining it so very well. Mid lane is now going to be sieging the core. Left lane is going to be pressured by their inhibitor being pressured as well. Shadon forced to use the ultimate, and that's not a level 13 ultimate, so that's going to be a significant cooldown. That's not going to be up anytime soon. Core taking damage. This is just a very, very difficult situation for Carbon EU. Smasher grab onto Marty, but it's a little bit too late. The inhibitor has fallen. They're looking for more kills. Imsco just takes down Undead Pilot. He doesn't care if there's someone in his face. That's the strength of Sparrow in the late game situation. He does go down, but he did take Undead Pilot and the inhibitor with him. So again, Oxygen take a very, very favorable series of events, Nate.
Yeah, I actually have a quick look there to see where Meds were, because I knew he'd backed. I thought he'd be straight back out. But the inhibitor of the left-hand side inhibitor for Oxygen was actually getting pushed down. So Meds actually had to back up and is now clearing those waves. But still, even with 4 men there, Oxygen able to do the work.
we've seen teams come back from a bigger... Economically, there really isn't a significant deficit. It's just that every single time there's been an engagement, Oxygen have come out. It hasn't even been close. The only time that Carbon comes out of a exchange kind of even is because, well, they just lost an inhibitor and the focus was on the inhibitor. But outside of these towers, the team fights have always been going over to Oxygen every single time. That is what netted them this map control objective. So economically, they're doing a great job, but this isn't a this isn't a city builder, man. There's more to this game than going on than just simple economics. You have to be able to execute in the team fights mechanically and strategically. And Oxygen certainly has them beat in game number 1 right here, right now. If they continue this course, they have themselves putting themselves on the path to victory, though. A tool they have that's good, a great tool they have to deal with this map pressure is Muriel. She flies into the fight, trying to keep Mikey alive, but Ramriddles, you hear that big pistol. She's getting the kill over on the howitzer. Seismic Assault again. Seismic Assault is very difficult to land consistently, but then you see Ramriddles, and it's like, no, it's not. It's actually pretty. Ramriddles making it look so very easy right there. Yo and Mikey and Rushers get taken out, and I think this more than likely is going to be game number 1. You can tell them all jumping in joy right here. I love it, man. I love that these guys put on such a display of character. Shadon is here. He's going to get focused down in the ultimate form, subjugate Sticky Bomb. He gets taken out as well, and yeah, not sure what Blood Mortis can do at this point in time. He's a good player. Grux is a pretty good hero. Not going to be the case. Long Arm of the Law does land. Not enough to even take, even if that is Decker going down. That's going to be game number 1, Nate. No doubts about it. Team Oxygen come back striking. They strike really, really hard. I got to say, man, Carbon just looked a little bit out of shape right there.
Yeah, I don't think they did anything particularly wrong. It was just Oxygen were on point. I thought actually Carbon were really in the ascendancy when they focused Ramriddle so hard. But while they did that, they allowed the Raptors to be picked up a few too many times by Oxygen, and not through any fault where, you know, they didn't want to contest it. It's just how the map positioning where they were having to deal with lanes. So they knew they were there because the wall coverage was great on the Raptors. However, they just couldn't do anything about it because it wouldn't be there in time with how fast a Sparrow can burn down those Raptors.
Well, guys, we're going to take a very short break, and the conclusion of the Paragon Competitive League is going to be coming very, very soon. Again, guys, don't forget, contribute to and help support these teams. I think we're out of coupon codes. I don't know. Try anyways, guys. It only takes you a minute. That PCL number 4 to donate a free $1. And the prize pool, again, man, I'm always blown away by these prize pools, Nate. You know, there's been a couple times we've exceeded 1,000, 750. It's over the course of the past year that we've been doing these events. I think we have a cumulative amount of around $10,000 raised for these teams over the past year. Now, if we can just get one event where it's $10,000, maybe one day, not community funded, but we're working on it. We're working on it, man. We're helping build the scene so that way all of us involved are going to get to the point and be a part of the great thing that is the Paragon competitive scene. So, guys, we're going to cut it to a very short break. We'll be back in just a moment, Nate, and we'll see who's going to be able to take this, my man. See who's be able to take this and see who can take Paragon Competitive League number 4. See you soon.